Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Shin Megami Tensei. You are not crazy, the episode is in fact that long. This is the penultimate episode of our neutral playthrough. I'm going to start this off by going ahead and fusing our final demon most likely for this playthrough. So, I did reference a episode or two ago that, we have been kind of ignoring our party a little bit, so I just wanted to, explore my options and kind of see what was available for me. And I did find a demon that I wanted just because it has Rakukaja, Terukaja, which are both pretty useful. So went ahead and I fused an Ankat, and he's probably going to be our last little friend to join us on this playthrough. So that's fun and exciting. Other than that, people are probably wondering, what about the Law and Chaos routes? What are you going to do for those? So I do have backup saves with, some archived save files where I can definitely go in and just replay through the final parts of the game on both of those routes. I'll probably do one bonus episode for each of those routes. I don't really have any preference for which one to do first, to be honest. You do different things, but they kind of play out similar. All the endings, they branch out and have different story events, but gameplay-wise, there's not much of a difference, just, different bosses and whatnot, and, it's nothing you don't fight on the neutral route. The neutral route is kind of a combination of both, gameplay-wise, so really, I'm fine with doing either or. In fact, what I'll do is I'll put a straw poll in the, description just to see which route people want me to cover first. Never really thought about that, but that's a pretty good idea, so just thought of that now. We are going to go stop in this island right here. We passed by on our way to go deal with the situation in the government offices. Yeah, we kind of ignored this before, but there's some cool stuff in here, so... Well, I should clarify. There's cool stuff in here on neutral. If you're not playing on neutral, I don't believe there's anything really in here of note. At least not in this point in the game. I guess in general in this point in the game, loot-wise, you really don't need to worry about stuff. I think I've kind of hammered this point home already, maybe a bit too strongly, but you're probably fine at this point. Some of these final bosses here can get a little bit tricky and you may want to watch out for them, but there's honestly not that much ahead of you that you can't surpass at this point. You're in the home stretch here. It's just a matter of clearing everything out and going for it. So yeah, kind of obnoxious here. We're going through this fog area. Just in general, I sped through the damage tile absurdity that was going on at the beginning of this dungeon, and now we have this really obnoxious fog maze that I kind of embarrassingly got lost in for longer than I would like, but that's the power of editing, so you guys don't need to see me dicking around in fog for a stupid amount of time. But yeah, this for anyone who has maybe played SMT4, or I guess any of the later SMT games, there's gonna be a little cute moment for you guys here. But I don't want to spoil anything yet, so continue watching me fuck around in the fog. Really, honestly, this is just the worst design decision that I think I've ever seen an RPG make. Like, it's just not fun, straight up. Like, fog areas are just crap. It's the stupidest design decision. It's just such artificial padding, it kind of hurts, to be honest. We're getting a little bit closer to the center here. It's where we want to be. Maybe not the exact center, I think we actually passed through it, but close enough to the center. Where is all this fog coming from in the first place? Do the demons just kind of set up fog machines? Like, do they really like that Halloween funhouse aesthetic? Like, It's really curious, because, like, it's kind of segmented into different rooms. It's very bizarre. Unless the idea is that it's just very dark. But I kind of hard, like, I find that kind of hard to believe that, too, I guess, especially if it's daytime, but I don't know. There we go. Finally got to the end here. And, there's our good pal, Masakado. Friend of all things neutral. Defender of Tokyo. Unfortunately, not a boss in this game like he was in SMT4's DLC. That was a really cool bonus boss fight. Retroactively, I don't know if I like it that much, just because the strategy for winning it is, I don't know, I didn't find it as cool as, say, I don't know, I guess I found it very hyper-specific, but also it wasn't to the level of absurdity of something like the Satan or Demi-Fiend fight from either of the DDS games, so, like, it just kind of felt weird to me, because, like, it was rough, and, like, there was a very obvious strategy for dealing with him, but, I don't know, I don't think it was as cool of a moment. I did really like the framing of that fight, though, where you only had 8 minutes before everything was nuked to shit. That was pretty awesome, but... oh well. Let's see if some T4 Final has anything super cool. I already know the DLC boss fights for that game, but I know of the fights and who you fight. I don't know any of the details, so I'm very excited to see how that plays out. But enough about games that are about to come out. Let's continue talking about SMT1 here. So yeah, Masakado's just kind of been chilling out, biding his time. One thing that I do think is very interesting, implication-wise, I don't see a lot of people talking about, Masakado kind of just, and also too, yeah, my inventory was full, so I embarrassingly could not get all of this shit. Masakado could probably form his own little army if he wanted to, and, you know, be a third faction in the whole all versus chaos thing. And he doesn't. He just kind of chills out, he bides his time, and he waits for someone worthy enough to carry on his, in his name to do his bidding. I guess they do kind of imply that just with the state of Tokyo being so shitty and awful, I guess his power is kind of declining a little bit, but, I do find that, you know, difference interesting, where he is much more of a passive observer and protector who is willing to wait for the right time to act. I think that's pretty neat. But yeah, so other than that, what we're going to be doing is we're kind of going to be going around here now. We got Masakado's katana, and now we're going to be going to all of the different red mansions, or shrines, whatever you want to call them, that we have seen throughout the game. It's kind of hard to locate them now that you have the entire overworld covered in water, so you kind of need to go off memory, but they're essentially in the northeast, south, and west. So if you just kind of, you know, you kind of just follow the borders of the map and go either clockwise or counterclockwise, you should be good. Not too hard to find them, it's just a little annoying at first, but yeah, you're going to go ahead and get all of Masakado's equipment, which, as far as I know, is the best equipment on the neutral route. Law and Chaos people get different armor sets that they get within the Cathedral, which I'll cover at a later time. But yeah, I don't know, like, this equipment's just really good. It increases stats a fair amount. I was going to plan out Kazuya's build to kind of take advantage of these stat gains and just, you know, max out everything as much as possible so that the stat gains of this equipment made it so that as much stats as possible went to 40, but, like, I don't know, I just decided not to. You really don't need to. I'm already min-maxing enough as is and other stuff. I didn't need to go that far with it, so... But yeah, you can see here our stats are looking pretty good. Got vitality and strength at 40 already. Speed is not there yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Much like the other bosses in this game, the final sets of bosses in the Cathedral, just give out a shit ton of EXP, so we're going to be leveling up quite a bit here still, so... Yeah. Just gonna report to Law and Chaos Heroes that, we killed their friends. Foreshadowing of things yet to come. I really enjoy that they've been arguing in front of this building this entire time without yet fighting. Considering that it's implied that the Gains and Messians are just in an all-out war, these two are just they're having some civil discourse about the subject, you know? I appreciate that. Maybe they're not that bad after all. I'd expect Takashi to just be fucking, like, slitting Yuji's throat by now, but... I don't know. And, now they've left. They took their balls and they went home. Sounds a little dirtier than expected, but... eh. So now we can finally enter the heart of the Cathedral. So yeah, it seems like the forces of Law and Chaos are evenly matched, so it's time for us to, tip the scales. Well, I guess we're not so much tipping the scales in the neutral route as we're just kind of destroying the scale and then stomping on it and then burying it in the backyard and then calling it a day, but eh. So the Asura Lord is who we're going to be kicking down today. Is it Ashura Lord or Asura Lord? I've heard it pronounced both ways. I've never really been quite sure about the difference there. Maybe someone in the comment sections know, but yeah, I always wondered about that. But yeah, then Michael is in the top floor, and we are going to be dealing with him in the final episode here, so... yeah, gonna be covering the bottom half of the Cathedral in this episode, which is why this video is absurdly long, because it is an absurdly long dungeon. So, yeah, we're gonna be descending all the way to the 8th basement floor, and the road there is not fun. There are two reasons I like to do the Chaos side of the Cathedral first and just deal with them and kill them all. One is just the dungeon is... the Chaos dungeon of the Cathedral is just a pain in the ass. The lower floors, I think, are more annoying to go through than the law side of the Cathedral. Also, too, just thematically, I enjoy saving the triumphant climb to the very top of the, you know, probably the tallest building left in the world. I don't know, just from a thematic standpoint, I think that's really neat. And also, too, the ending of the game, not to spoil anything, takes place on the very peak of the Cathedral. So I've always kind of felt like it implied that you should do Michael and the Law side second. So yeah. But yeah, you do have a choice between which you want to take on first. So theoretically, you could do either or. It really doesn't make too much of a difference. Personally speaking, I think they're about evenly as difficult. Maybe the Chaos side is a little more difficult. Like I said, the dungeon design itself I find more obnoxious to deal with. The Law side, it's very bizarre because they both are not too bad, but then one specific boss and then the final boss of each sides of the dungeon can be a little troublesome. The final two bosses, Asura Lord and Michael, can they're noticeably harder than the other bosses in the game. You know, justifiably so, being the final bosses and whatnot. But nothing you still can't deal with. But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say one is harder than the other. I don't think so. Do it whatever you want, whatever your heart tells you. Only 3 points away from having 40 speed. That's exciting. And, I'm not really going out of my way here to go get treasure chests and other stuff, just because, one, I really don't need it. Two, this would make this video even longer, and I don't want to put you guys through any more of this shit. And three, I don't know, just, I think this is more rewarding. I honestly, I just printed out maps of all of the floors, and I drew a red line with pen to the most efficient way to get from one staircase to the other, and this, I basically, I don't want to say I speed ran it, I guess, but I just took the most efficient route possible, and, like, this video is still almost an hour long, so... But yeah, we're at the first of the Chaos bosses here. Gonna fight Cert. Pretty cool guy. Always was a fan of Cert as a demon in the games. I think he's, design-wise pretty rad. I don't know if, his design really shines through with, his, little battle graphic here, but... He has the little flaming sword going on, I guess, which is cool. Kind of. But yeah, he's not too hard of a fight. He's the first of the Chaos crew. That sounds like an actual professional gaming clan, or like a guild or something that probably exists. I have to believe that exists somewhere. Yeah, you know the drill by now. It's gonna be buffing, stunning. He really can't do much to harm you, you know, he just has basic fire attacks and a fairly beefy physical attack, but nothing you should worry about. I should actually also point out that aside from Asura Lord and Michael, all bosses in the Cathedral are technically optional. You can beat the game without fighting them at all. You might as well, just because you get some cool EXP, and personally I think, I don't know, I just think it's more fun to go ahead and fight them. Pretty much all of the... Actually, I think all of the bosses are right near the staircases at various points, and I think, I don't know, like, it's not like you have to really go out of your way to do it, and I think it just kind of wraps up the game nicely to just go through and fight them, so you might as well. I think it's fun. But yeah, if you're sick and tired of this game at this point, you just want to rush to Asura Lord and rush to Michael without anything in between, you can definitely do that. And we're level 69, which I find funny because I'm like 12, so... Unfortunate that Yuka's like one level behind us. I don't even really remember when or where that happened. She must have been dead for like a little bit there, and I couldn't reliably get to a healing point in time, so some sort of noticeable EXP gap happened. Because I do think that when she rejoins the party around, I don't know if I want to say the halfway point, maybe a little before the halfway point, I think she just has the same level as the main character, so they should be about even. Just doing some healing and other fun stuff. Oh, yep, guess not actually, because Ankat just seems dead, so that's unfortunate. I kind of debated here going back and, you know, reviving him, but I decided against it just because, I don't know, I was, already 2 floors down, and I didn't feel like walking all the way back over. So I just decided to summon Rangda to take Ankat's place. So we're down 1 buffer. But we can live without him. Zoucha 10 already has pretty much everything I'd want anyways, which is just Terrakaja, so... We have healing and we have physical attack buffing, we're fine. Just gonna keep walking, One thing I will say though is the tile set for tile set rather for this final dungeon is pretty nice looking, I will admit. Very ornate looking. Kind of surprised they didn't go for like a more blue or purple style holy looking thing. The red's kind of weird to me. I don't know, that doesn't seem very Messian. Maybe it's supposed to be symbolic for like the blood of Harambe or something. Noticeable Messian figure. I just dated this LP super hard with that dank meme. Is it obvious I'm running out of things to talk about yet because this dungeon is stupidly long and should have probably been half the size? I think it probably is. Everyone's like, oh, you're doing a great job with the SMT LP, and I'm just showing how wrong they are. It's pretty amazing. And yeah, demons keep dying, staying dead. Yeah, there is a dying status and a dead status, and for the life of me, I've never really been able to figure out the difference. For everything I know about this game, that's been something that's always kind of confused me. I think instant death spells cause death, whereas just losing your HP causes dying. And I think the difference is you have to go back to a healer to heal being dead, but you can use revival items to cure dying, or revival spells too. But Recarm doesn't seem to work on enemies, or on allies that are dead, so. One thing I've always excuse me, one thing I've always found interesting is the way a lot of like tabletop games, you know, discuss HP and what that represents. A lot of the time it is just being knocked out or unconscious, which I don't know, most RPGs just straight up say you're dead when you're at 0 HP, but originally it never really was that way. I think yeah, like in Dragon Quest you're just dead from what I understand, like you're carried around a coffin and shit. I think, yeah, Pokemon, they make a point of saying that the Pokemon's just knocked out, and then you go and revive them at you go, you know, wake them up at a Poke Center, so. But yeah, most other RPGs, you're just generally dead, so it's kind of weird seeing SMT kind of keep that tabletop-y root of having a difference between being unconscious and being dead. A lot of other RPGs at the time didn't. I mean, there's the whole thing between, like, being gameplay dead and story dead, which there's a big difference there, but, you know, you run into the whole why don't you just use a Phoenix Down problem, but, oh well. This is Astaroth. He's not very noteworthy either, to be honest. I actually think he's kind of easier than Cert. Maybe I'm crazy, but he's not much of an improvement if he's technically harder. Yeah, I haven't been autoing these bosses out, even though I probably could, just because, you know, better safe than sorry, and want to play smart and play efficiently, and, you know, just auto-battling is probably not the most efficient thing you could do, even though it might be the most easy thing you could do. Essentially, I really just didn't want to, oh, and I charmed him, which is great, but I really, I didn't want to have to make, like, a return trip to heal if I could help it, so I kind of played a bit more cautiously with the boss fights here than maybe I would have if I was playing without recording, so. Because I think, even though I made just one trip through the Cathedral, I think most likely when you're playing for yourself, you're probably gonna make a trip or two. Like, you might want to go back and heal up, which it'll be slower progress, but chances are your build isn't as stupidly optimized or broken as the one I'm running right now, which is, you know, it's fair. So, yeah, I mean, it's smart. I mean, like, if you're thinking you're gonna game over, you're gonna be in a situation where dying is a inevitability. There's no harm in going back, being safe and healing up, because I mean, you might as well. Better safe than sorry, am I right? You can always stock up on consumables too to kind of counteract that. But like I said, by this point in the game, you probably have way more beads and life stones than you know what to do with, so... Revival items might be a nice little pickup, though. I believe the stores in, maybe it's the healers, but you should be able to pick those up in either the Law or Chaos little villages that they have set up in the first floor of the Cathedral, I'd imagine. About halfway through. Woo! And this is just the worst thing in the entire game. I hate basement 4 of the Cathedral with just a fiery passion. This is just awful. I hate these enemies in particular. They're annoying. Just in general, running around, most of this area is covered in fog, and it's also very large too. It's just such a pain. This was the one map that I was so thrilled that I decided to just print out the maps and draw a route through, because, like, God, just fuck doing this blind. Like, I've done it once before on my very first playthrough of the game, and it probably took, I want to say, maybe 30 minutes longer than it should have, which, just infuriating. I hate this floor so much. It's just the worst designed thing that I think I've ever seen in any dungeon crawler of this type. It's just not fun. Let people see in your games. That's my game design tip of 2016. Like, even the upgraded ports of this game and stuff, they let you, like, they make it so you can't see as far ahead, but you can at least see the tiles to your, like, in front and to your left and right. You can see if they're open or not, or if you're hitting a wall, which I appreciate very much so, because, like, man, just traversing this is stupid. I think we're almost towards the end, at least. At least I hope. Like, even with the most optimal pathing that I was able to manage, this is kind of going a bit slower than I would expect. Yeah, this game kind of just takes a giant dump, and, like, I love this game, I really do. I can't defend this final dungeon. This is kind of where, like, my whole love of this game kind of shatters a bit, and, like, the blinders on its poorly designed gameplay elements really kind of comes crashing down around me. This is just bad, and I can't defend this despite loving this game. I mean, the game up until this point was not a masterpiece of RPG dungeon crawling design in terms of even just dungeon layout or gameplay systems and stuff, but I think everything just kind of reaches a boiling point here. They tried really hard to make this climactic, but a lot of their more annoying systems really come to light here, and this is where you, I think, really can't help but notice that there's just parts of this game that aren't fun when you play it, so... And I mean, I guess that's part of my motivation for Let's Playing this game is, I don't know, like I said, I do love this game despite all that. I think there's a lot of cool stuff in here, and I think it's a game worth at least exploring or experimenting, you know, yourself and seeing if you like it or take to it. But yeah, just one of my reasons for Let's Playing this game was I wanted people who just couldn't stand the gameplay, or people who, you know, didn't have any interest in trying out for themselves to at least have a way to kind of experience the game, you know, with someone really obnoxious talking over it, of course, but, yeah, I wanted there to be an option out there for people that wanted a comprehensive look at the game, to just be able to go out and watch something without having to play through all the bullshit parts theirself, and, I don't know, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, but I guess that being said, I'm not done yet, and, it's time to talk about one of the more annoying bosses in the game. So this is Arioch, Garioch. Any of the pronunciations are fine. Yeah, that mouth is intentionally looks like what you think it looks like. Let's not beat around the bush here. So, yeah, this demon is obnoxious for the fact that, if I recall, oh god, I can't quite remember the resistances now, but, oh, okay, never mind. So, yeah, any physical attacks and any bullet or, like, ranged attacks, he's just straight up immune. You are theoretically only really supposed to be able to damage this guy with magical abilities, which is a pain in the ass, especially in this game where, you know, you're using a lot of your NP for things like buffing or healing. I actually think I've read a report before of someone that got to this boss and they just straight up got into a state where they just had to game over because they literally ran out of party members with MP to use, and they just couldn't damage him anymore. But what you can do is if you do have magic bullets equipped, magic bullets, I think I've referenced this before, they just ignore all sort of immunity to bullet damage, so you can just constantly spam bullet attacks over and over again if you have the magic bullets equipped, and just very slowly take them out. Takes a while, but you can do it. So I believe I just fully buff here to the best of my ability, and then I just auto because this fight takes quite a while otherwise. And like I said, there's kind of like an equivalently annoying fight in the Law side, but you know, now that I think about it, I think this fight's just a little bit worse because it just takes a while. And you know what? No, I think they're both equally bad. I take that back. I take back my take back. But yeah, that's Arioch down. So those are the three optional Chaos boss fights that you can do in the Chaos side of the Cathedral. Now all we really have left to do is fight the Asura Lord, so that's exciting. Still got 4 more floors to go though, so well, I guess 3. 8th floor is just pretty much the boss fight itself, which is nice. So yeah, after that hell floor, the rest of the floors are actually not too bad. They're a little obnoxious, but nothing nothing that bad. There's nothing as god-awful as those fog floors ever again, so I think that's just objectively the lowest point of this game for me, is just, oh, that maze of fog is just the worst, but yeah, I think the only really annoying thing we have to deal with other than just the absurd encounter rate at this point is just the, there's a floor or two, I think, that just has a shit ton of damage tiles, but that's nothing we can't solve with our supply of life stones and Yucca sealing magic, so alright, that's another floor down. Getting closer to the end here. Alright, yeah, this is the floor I was thinking of. Yeah, so a lot of the floors here are just damage tiles. And that's quite the pain. I don't know what's more annoying, taking the damage or having to go through all the message notifications telling you that your party members were damaged. I kind of... The more I think about it, I guess I never really thought about it before. Was it really necessary to explicitly list out the amount of damage everyone took? Like, I kind of feel like you could just have one message pop up saying, like, oh, everyone took damage, or maybe, like, maybe just make the game pause for a bit and then slowly, maybe not slowly, but just kind of scroll past and show that everyone lost HP one at a time. Like, I don't really think you needed the message there. But who knows, maybe that's something that's just kind of hard-coded into the game every time that you take damage. Maybe that message has to show up. I think at the very beginning of the game, if you remember, Now we're going full circle here, but when you get attacked by that demon at the beginning and you grab the attack knife off of that dude's body, I think there is even like a damage prompt there. Like, I think that might just be hard-coded into the game, maybe. Which is interesting if that's the case. It's always very interesting to see, you know, little idiosyncrasies like that and just weird shit that is kind of just part of the game and you kind of have to, you know, look past or whatever. I don't know, I spend a lot of my misspent youth ROM hacking Earthbound and messing around in the ROM of that game and just kind of, you know, creating stuff, and I guess that kind of fostered a little bit of my interest in programming as I got older, the more I think about it. But one thing that, like, I always found interesting in that game is that, like, and this is probably true of a lot of games, I have to imagine, but just seeing it all laid out the way it was kind of cool for me. The way that game's world and, like, just a lot of sprites for that game are laid out just, like, interested the shit out of me, because they just had one giant sheet and then everything was grabbed from that sheet in terms of, like, the map assets, and I believe there is a separate asset that just had every character sprite, like, individually listed on there, almost as if it was like a sprite sheet rip, I believe. I don't know, always cool to see how games work. If you're not one for programming even, I think there's still some cool stuff to be found looking at how games are programmed and how they're made and stuff. So yeah, good friend Lucy. Last time we're gonna see him on the neutral route, sadly. So, our good trustworthy friend Lucifer here, telling us to go and fuck off from the chaos side of the cathedral and go to an island in the west, which you know, he's just saying that there's something there to help us beat Asura Lord, which we're going to ignore just because it's very clear on this route that Lucifer is not our friend, and the too long didn't read version of that is yeah, he's just fucking lying, and we're gonna go to that island later, but we're right in Asura Lord's doorstep, so we're gonna go kick his ass first. It's kind of a waste of time to go back up, go to that island, which I think was actually probably intentional in the you know, the writer's part. I think it was very intentional that he was telling you to leave. I think he's definitely trying to stall for time, if not just outright get you killed, which is funny. Good old Lucifer. I do enjoy that on the neutral and law route of the game, that is just straight up his last ditch effort, and the last time you see him before he just fucks off and flees is just him going, "Hey, yeah, go to this very obvious death trap. Bye." I guess that kind of goes into my whole thing where I just like that Yahweh and Lucifer are kind of, you know, instigators, and they're not so much directly involved with the event so much as just kind of poking and prodding their plans into motion. But yeah, speaking of last times we're gonna be seeing people, guess it's time to finally have a little inevitable showdown with Takashi after like 18 or 17 episodes of him just being an ass. Can't remember if he came in episode 2 or 3. Oh well. Yeah, we're just gonna gnaw this out. The fights with your friends are actually a lot easier than the fights with your, or with the actual, like, demons that are, part of the dungeon that are optional. They're pretty sad, honestly. Like, you can just auto both of them, probably no matter what your loadout is, and you'll be fine. They have some kinda shitty magic attacks that they had when you had them in your party, and their physical attacks just aren't that great either. They're pretty sad, honestly. I kind of do wish they were a little bit stronger, maybe, you know, maybe summoned demons or something of their own, like, you know, say Goto did. But nah, just fight them it's like a 1v6 battle, which I guess is also part of the reason for explaining the easiness. I guess that is kind of cool from a story perspective, because it does show off that, like, you know, they are still human, despite their magical capabilities that they've gained through, their choices in life, and they are still effectively vulnerable when taken on, you know, against a team. they're still vulnerable and mortal in that regard. They're not almighty, at least not yet, so... But yeah, Lilith's gonna get pissed off at us, so we're gonna put her down too. Same thing here. A little more intimidating, though, because she can put you to sleep. And charm you, actually, if you saw right there, but... yeah, still not too bad. I'm pretty fine with this, actually. This worked out great. Yeah. It's fine. So, one thing that is, very, very directly implied is, that, Kazuya is just straight up, the reincarnation of Adam, and, as a result, that makes Yuka the reincarnation of, Eve, which I guess is kind of interesting just because, I guess some story implications I'll get to later, but, yeah, like, they don't do too much with it, but I kind of like that it's there just because, it does kind of flesh out Lilith's character arc. It doesn't just make her some jealous, you know, villainess that wants the main character to love them, and they're pissed off at the love interest for, you know, taking away their man, sort of thing. Like, there's a little bit of history there and some complexity compared to just making it a standard jealousy thing. There's like reincarnation and, you know, like biblical shit involved, which it makes it a little more forgivable in my eyes for being a little admittedly cliche and a bit too tropey. But yep, now that that love triangle is resolved, we can go ahead and take on the Astra Lord. Here are my stats. Pretty common endgame stats, I'd say. 70s are pretty good. You could probably take on the final bosses in the mid-60s even, I'd say. Should be safe, just probably want some better demons, or, you know, the best demons possible for your level at that point, just to be safe. Like many bosses in this game, the dungeons are actually a lot more intimidating and scary and dangerous than the boss fights themselves. But that being said, I do think that the Astra Lord and Michael both, the developers did a pretty good job with making them feel climactic, I think, especially since a lot of the other boss fights in this game's second half are admittedly kind of disappointing, kind of too easy for their own good. Part of it is just because these guys have a lot of health, but they do deal, I'd say, significantly more damage than their peers, and it's very obvious that they were made to be a challenging final boss fight compared to the rest of the enemies in the game, so that's fun. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and kick this guy's ass. He only really has 3 attacks, I believe. I believe he has a physical attack that I think attacks multiple party members. But yeah, he has a fire magical spell that will deal damage to multiple targets, and then he also has Megadolon, which I think he might be the only enemy in the game that has, actually. Maybe the bonus boss that Lucifer mentioned on the westmost island actually has it too. I'm not quite sure. But he's one of the few. There's not many in this game. But yeah, it is nice to have enemies that reflect fire in this fight, as you can see. Just, he will damage himself quite frequently and do a decent amount of damage. Yeah, I'm just going all out. You know, now's the time to use everything you got, right? Final fight of the game. Take no prisoners. I guess it's not the final fight of the game yet, technically, but it's one of the two. That's what matters. Yep, there we go. And he was charmed, so the only time I think actually in this playthrough so far that Megadolon has gone off, it's been reflected back on the user, so that's exciting. Almighty in this game actually isn't too good. I don't know. It could be better, to be honest. And he can't be shocked, as you can see. Immune to electricity. I wonder actually how he deals with ice attacks. I wouldn't be surprised if he's immune to those either, but yeah, we're just gonna auto the rest of this out now. That should do the trick. As you can see, he has quite a bit of health. He's doing... No, he's faring quite better than most bosses we end up buffing than autoing. And we gained another experience level. I think Yuka might gain 2, actually. Oh no, she only gained 1. Oh well. Nah, not really. I mean, you kinda got there. You got half the Cathedral. Well, now that he's out of the picture, we're going to, kind of follow in his footsteps and go take out Michael at the very tippy top of the Cathedral. Alright, tune in next time, and we're going to be finishing up the neutral route of Shin Megami Tensei. See you around, guys.